Hello everyone, Kumod this side. Today we will be covering how to work with JSON data and Python because this is very important. As you know that in today's market, in today's data domain, NoSQL database has gained its popularity in which JSON files are mostly used. So today in today's session, we will be covering how to interact with JSON files using Pandas in Python. Okay, so let's start. In today's session, we will be covering what are JSON files, how to interact with JSON files using Pandas. Okay, which includes examples like reading JSON files with PD or previous JSON files, flattening nested JSON using pandas.json normalize, expanding nested list, example orders and items. Similarly, these are the columns present in our JSON files, which we will be covering in the next class. Exploding list columns. Exploding means basically suppose we have multiple values present in a single list. To increase the data redundancy by splitting them into multiple rows, we will be using exploding of JSON files. Okay, and after that we'll be converting JSON into JSON L files, and in the end we'll be saving those converted files in the CSV files because it's important. As you know that everyone is not able to, suppose we are not able to load or analyze JSON files directly, so we have to clean those JSON files and convert it into our natural format, which is CSV or HL files for the correct analysis. So we'll be covering this in our today's session. Okay, so let's first let me tell you about the JSON pipes. Basically the identification of JSON pipes are with the extension .json. Okay, and it's represented using this symbol, and this is the name of our JSON files. We'll be covering this data, sample data in our today's session, and this data will also be provided to you in the video section of the below the link. You can access that data file for your own practice. Okay, and then this Jupyter notebook will also be shared inside this inside this YouTube, and you just have to go through all the details, and you can practice and make your changes as per the requirement. Okay, so then start with the first, which is reading JSON with pandas. Okay, what does it mean? Basically, suppose in our analysis, we used to get the CSV or Excel files, right? And CSV and Excel files are different files to store different tabular data, right? But in today's industry, we know that there are multiple files which are stored in JSON files, right? Due to the popularity of NoSQL databases. Suppose when you went to a company where they are mostly using NoSQL database, and in that mostly JSON or JSON L files are stored. How to interact with those files will be used using read JSON. Okay, we have to just create the data pipeline with the different database sources, and we have to connect it using the API with our pandas with NumPy and Python. Okay, and after that we just have to pass a function name pd.json. In that we just have to pass the file of the JSON name and then the extension of JSON file. Similar to Excel files or CSV files, we just have to pass the name of the CSV or Excel files over here and the extension of the files, like which was .csv or .xls. But it's same for the JSON files as well. When we will run this, and we will get a data frame. Basically any pd.read will return the data in a data frame format, which means a tabular format, row and column combination of data. Okay, in this you can see like we get the first column's id, which is just as which we used to get in our Excel CSV file, same with the name, same with the name. But over there in the profile column, you can find that the data is stored in a different dictionary. Right, these are referred to as JSON files. Suppose there is a profile.age column which has 29. Again, profile.age which is 34 for Rahul, and because this is because age and city will be given. But that suppose Anita Sharma is the person who knows multiple skills like Python, SQL, and Pandas. But to store with, but to create different skill set, we just have to create Anita Sharma for different three skills, right? So not to do that, we basically to reduce the data density and data consumption, we basically use JSON files. But for our analysis, we can't directly analyze these sorts of data, so we have to convert this in our regular data format, which are CSV and Excel, by exporting and exporting our JSON files. Okay, so we will covering this how to expand profile column into different columns and similar with the orders column. Okay, so let's start with this flapping nested objects using pandas.json normal. Okay, suppose we have this column, right, profile. we have to normalize this column. Normalizing basically means we have to split this into different columns. Like we know this is a form of dictionaries, right? It's a basic data structure available in the Python, and it can be separated using different files. Like suppose if we split or if we explore this single data dictionary data structure, it will be generate profile.h and it will be stored 29. Then the second generation will be profile.city and store Bengali. Then the third one will be profile.sketch and it will store a list of values, right? It will not store only Python, it will store the whole list. Python, SQL, and Pandas, but it will create three different columns. Right? When we explore this, it will create three different columns, which means age, city, and skills, right? Same with the Rahul Verma case. Okay, so let's start. Over here, I just wrote the code and I just have to pass over here here. Okay, okay. Uh, just we just covered we want to basically transform this into multiple cases, right? So to understand this full JSON file, we have to basically use a df.info, and it will return me the whole information about our JSON files, right? Every information about the ID column, whether there is a null or what are the data types, similar with everything. Okay, then we just cover we have to split this into different columns. So for that, we just have to use JSON.normalize, and to do that, we just have to run this code, import JSON from pandas, import JSON normalize. Then we again have to load the data using the simple method. Then if you run this, then it will basically create different columns, right? Suppose earlier we just had profile column, right? Now it will create different columns like profile.age, profile.city, and profile.skills similarly. So it's showing, right, profile.age, profile.city, profile.skills, and it's not showing the only profile. It's had splitted them in the three different colors, right? Let's start. Let's show the data, and we will come to know that ID it was the same, name was the same, and email was same. But the profile column was split into three different columns, which were profile.age, profile.city, profile.skills, right? And in this we can see that these were different individual values, but the skills were in place of list, right? So it extracted in the whole list. Now for we are just have to explore this into different rows, right? For one row, for Anita Sharma, we have to create different school, right? Because Anita Sharma knows Python, Anita Sharma knows SQL, Anita Sharma knows Panda. So we have to convert these rows into different rows, right? And similarly for Rahul, we can creating two different rows because Rahul Verma knows Excel and Rahul Verma knows Power BI. So we'll creating two rows. So that process is known as exploding. But before that, let's understand why this was not converted. We just use JSON or normalize to convert into different columns. But why this was not converted, we just have to understand this. And for this, we just have to write order ID like this, amount like this, items like this, order like this, because this is in place of dictionary, but it is stored inside of list. It is a JSON data, but it is directly stored in the form of list. So this was not recognized by JSON or normalized. To do that, we just have to expand. We just have to expand these columns into different like record part equals to orders using the metadata. So we to do that, we just have to pass this setup code, and I just stored the things, and we got items like different amount, different order ID, different. Just it was there was the first column order ID with this amount with this, and items was a different again different this data such as stored inside of that. So it can be stored as like this, items like this, but the amount and order ID got split. So just it was just an alternative of this JSON.normalize. So for that, we just can use this instance and lambda Azure functions code to generate different code of keys, right? Suppose we just know that this can be this is stored in the form of list, so we can't just split it into the form of dictionaries or different rows. So for that, if you don't want to use this JSON.normalize function, we just have to create our own function using lambda function. For that, we just have to pass this set of codes: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. For we just have to create a new column using JSON.normalize. Then we have to check whether this is instance or not. Is instance basically check the type of basically suppose basically type. When we check what are the type of acts, whether it is in list, it is in tuple or dictionaries. So to check that, we basically use is instance, and we just pass list. If it is a list, and then it will return true, and then it will perform the or different operation, and it will accept SKU at a different item SKU and quantity as different. So we can just see then this got spread into two individual columns. The first one, item dot SKU, item dot quantity, and it was stored in x1, x2, x3. The item dot Q2 was stored in 1 to 1. Okay. After this, we just loaded profile into different orders into different. Now we have to combine this, and for that we can use exporting techniques over here, right? Profile dot skills. We just tried those, and the skills got different. Like over here, I'll just come back to the slide. We know that Anita Sharma knew three different skills, right? The first one was Python, SQL, and Pandas, and Arawa knew two skills. So we have to create three individual roles for Anita Sharma, two individual rows for outdoors. So for that, we just have to pass the exploded technique, and it will return three different rows for Anita Sharma, one with Python, one with SQL, one with Pandas, and two different rows for Ognorma, because Ognorma only knew two skills. The first one was Excel, and the second was Bardware. So Pandas are very helpful for our manipulating JSON files, because it reduces our own effort. Like earlier, if you don't know about Pandas, we have to write multiple codes. We just have to use multiple loops to extract the data, then again store in a format or structure.